I said, welcome to the podcast, episode 85, third pod in the bag. Love new listeners, but where my fireflies at, what it look like? I'ma hit my girl up, cute niggas in the club, we about to pull up, what it look like? What it look like? Yeah, what it look like? What it look like? Yo, shout out Grammy Salads on the beat as always. What's up? Yes. Look, I even forgot how to do my intros. I gotta hit you with the yes. You hear me? So this is technically season 7 of the third pod, and we are back. This will be the last season and probably the last time you hear me say a season number, because originally when I started naming my seasons, it was because I took a long break after season 1. So I was just like, I'm gonna just call it season 2. And I thought I would only have like 3 seasons, but here we are, season 7, episode 85. And we still doing it. And now we doing it with videos. Shout out all the YouTubers. What's up? That's why I gave a little shout out. For 85 episodes straight, we do a little freestyle in the beginning of every episode. And I had to give a shout out to the new followers or subscribers, I should say, because it's YouTube. I'm so used to just having this with strictly audio and on Spotify. And the last season was the first season where I had video, but I had a co-host. Shout out Elquan, my boy. He will be back this season to pop in, don't worry. But when I had him, I'm looking at the computer and it doesn't feel so weird, but now I should probably look directly at the camera. So bear with me if I'm conceited and I start looking at myself. You feel me? I'd be like, oh, them curls at that liner is sharp. Puerto Rican, knives, you get it? Stereotypes, just kidding. Not violent, pacifist, peaceful, love it. Forgive them, bro. Forgive them. That's my latest single. Anyway, I do make music if you're new here, but that's not what we're here for. That's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some topics, okay? Now, it's 2025, and wow, boy, did we start with a bang. Somebody said, if this is the free subscription, like the free trial for 2025, I don't want to take it back. I'm going to cancel it. And I'm with that person, whoever that person was, because, whoa, the news has been crazy. And before I even get into that news, I do want to talk about some personal stuff. This is for my returning listeners. This is for my fireflies, you feel me? Because something happened over the holidays that was, I want to say, semi-spontaneous, but it wasn't spontaneous at all. So, well, another thing that's new is I got an air purifier and now my cat is on. Get down. All right, I have no idea how I edited that to make it look like I have a smoothly running podcast for the premiere of season 7 of the third podcast. That's crazy. But here we are. So, yeah, I got a tattoo and I got it with my brother. And I wanted to tell the story because he paid for a portion of it as part of my Christmas gift. And we got the tattoos together. He unveiled his concept for his design, I think the day before, if not maybe 2 days, but I think it was the day before. And he actually got 4 Chinese characters representing different years. And it was the year I was born, the year my mother was born, the year him and his wife were born, and the year my grandfather was born. So it was super sentimental. It was an honor. And after we got the tattoos, I was gushing over my tat. I love it. Shout out Azu, the designer, the tattoo artist and designer, because this is nothing of what I gave her from my Google search. I kind of had like a concept of what I wanted, but it was a little generic, and she hooked me up. I love it. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And my brother goes, do you really like it? And I lost it. I fucking lost it. I was like, yeah. And I started crying. I'm like, I love it. And I love the experience. I love that we did it together. I love your tattoo. I love it all. I love everything. I'm so thankful and so grateful. And it was a really, like, I'm so glad that I never got a tattoo my entire life. The whole 30-something years before this, because it made this moment so much more impactful, so much more meaningful. The tattoo actually says trust yourself, because that's something that I took way too long to learn. I was always right about so many things, and instead of just trusting myself and moving forward on certain situations, I would go to my best friend and be like, look, watch, this person is trash, this is gonna happen, that. And my intuition was always on point, and it was like I would just go along with things to see how things will play out. And that's not the right thing. If you're young and you're watching this, just stop it early. Trust me, you don't need to see how the movie ends. You know. And they always say, like, search for answers inside. And I'm big on, like, well, I'm big on intrinsic motivation, but now I'm also big on intrinsic advice, trusting yourself, and knowing that you know the right thing. Nobody is going to know a situation, no matter who you tell and how you tell it, whether it be your best friend or therapist. Nobody's going to know the situation better than the person who lived it, and that's you. So that's why you have to trust yourself and all the nuances you see, things you pick up, and it has a lotus flower that represents resilience. It also has a symbol, a sun-like symbol. Just I've always been obsessed with the sun, to be perfectly honest. It's the main energy source. Shout out Zeitgeist 3. That's where my affinity started, because they went on this whole thing where they talk about how every single religion on the planet is based on the sun and the solar system. Like, it's crazy. Zeitgeist 3. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, because this was literally over a decade ago when I discovered that movie. But it's partially the reason why I started calling myself Big Sunshine when I made a huge, life change and move across the country and move to LA, which is a very sunny state as well. It was just kind of all, it just felt right. And I started saying it kind of joking around, and it really stuck. Like, a lot of people just call me Big Sunshine. They don't even be calling me fire. But what is the sun made of? Bang, fire. Poof, stop playing with me. I have a moon on the bottom. The moon card in tarot is actually a Pisces card. I want to get a high priestess tattoo as well, because that's also a Pisces card. Y'all know I'm into tarot. If y'all listen to my music, or if y'all been fans of the pod. Got a couple little stars. That's just decoration that look pretty. And yeah, it's a very dainty design. I want to do a half sleeve. My brother's gonna get a half sleeve of his upper arm, where he got his tat on his right upper sleeve. I'm sorry, right upper arm. And I'm gonna get a half sleeve possibly on my lower left arm. And that's how we doing it. They said it would happen. They said once you get one, it's over. Every single person who has a tattoo will tell you that. Like, once you get one, you're gonna keep wanting more. You're gonna get more. So I'm gonna get my second tattoo before June, or, like, I should say in June. I probably won't be before June, but that's what I'm thinking. And I don't really have any ideas aside from a very spiritual, peaceful theme, because for 2024 I became extremely addicted to peace. I like peace. My life is extremely peaceful. I don't do no type of negativity, no drama, if I don't have to. Obviously, the things that happened to me, if you're new here, I had a very chaotic 2023. I was diagnosed with MS. I had my first car accident. I moved across the entire country by myself in my car. The list goes on. It was a jam-packed year for me, and I hit the ground running here. I started doing shows like 2 times a week, performing at every open mic I could find, and just building a new life and meeting new people and doing everything that I wanted to do, and just checking shit off my checklist and making shit happen for myself, to make myself happier than I was when I was living in Jersey. And I said this recently in conversation. I will one day tell kind of like the story and where I came from. I was born and raised in the Bronx, New York, lived in Jersey all my adult life for the most part. I lived in Atlanta for a little bit, but it wasn't even a year. It's maybe like 7 months. And, before making the decision to move out to LA. And I mean, I love it out here. I don't know if I'm going to stay here forever, but I definitely do love it out here. But yeah, that's the story of the tattoo. That's what I want to say. I don't know how I drifted off into that, but yeah, I wanted to talk about that because that's new, and I love it. You know, And I felt like there was a story to be told there because trusting yourself is very important, like I said. But back to 2025. Let's talk about 2025. I do actually have notes because, wow. Just because, wow. So Trump won. Trump is the president again, even though he got impeached and was a convicted or is a convicted felon, but he is now our president again. I don't understand things. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I am the most politically educated person. I'm not gonna do that. I do want to spark conversation in the comments. I want you guys to talk. I want you guys to go back and forth and, you know, enlighten me for the most part. You know what I'm saying? But I do have opinions and strong opinions on certain topics that affect me and people that I care about. Anything that impacts poverty, lower income families is going to hit home. Anything that affects children and animals is going to hit home. So like most recently, I'll start from like most recent of what's going on right now. So the most recent thing or like law that he passed is actually, no, I just thought of another one. But let me see if I got the name of it, because I did take a little video. And is it there? Nah, it's not there. So I forgot the name of the law, but it was named after a girl who unfortunately was murdered by an illegal alien immigrant. And basically the law is any immigrant, illegal immigrant, who is accused of a violent crime or theft will mandatorily be detained. That's crazy to me. They merely have to be accused. Are we going to prison every single person who is accused of rape, molestation? Like, or why is it just that because they're not U.S. citizens that they have to be detained? And why is it merely on an accusation? You're immediately jailing someone, essentially, with no trial, and it makes no sense to me. So if y'all got the answers in the comments, like I said, please do share, but that makes absolutely no sense to me. And I do feel for the mother who spoke at the, I watched the whole thing on YouTube. I don't know what you would call it, but Trump was actually signing the document, and he gave a speech, and he let the mother of the girl who passed away speak as well. And she was torn up, and she was, you know, excited about the law being passed, but anyone could have did this. And my cat is back at it. Pause. Come here. Come lay down and go to sleep for another 15 hours. I love you. Now you want to lay on the floor because you want to go do bad stuff. All right. Sorry about that. So yeah, I don't fully understand it. That's where I was. The mother. So yeah, the mother spoke, and she was very excited about it being passed. And she said, you know, she was thankful to Trump that he kept his word about never forgetting her situation and whatnot. But my thing is that if it was a black person who murdered her daughter, would this be something that we just apply to all black Americans? I highly doubt it, but it's very scary for me to even think that way. And because I am openly ignorant in a lot of ways when it comes to politics, I don't enjoy politics. I've never even paid attention to politics for the first at least 2/3 of my life. I didn't start paying attention to politics probably until Obama, unfortunately. Or fortunately. I mean, I was only like in my early 20s, I think, when Obama got elected. Teenagers are not really. I mean, you know what? teenagers in my day, back in my day, teenagers really weren't involved in politics. They weren't interested in politics, no matter how much Diddy or Nickelodeon tried to get us to. Because I remember being a baby and seeing Nickelodeon um, push, who was it? Bill Clinton onto us. I think he played saxophone on all that or something. Like it was a thing. But yeah, I never really paid attention to politics. So having all these interesting laws and bills be passed is wild to me. Um, Another representative for the Republican Party was also speaking about how this is a more recent thing too. Federal funding has been on or put on a freeze. And I don't know if that includes school lunches, but this particular representative was talking about school lunch. And he was saying how when he was in high school, he was working the fields before there were child labor laws. And then he worked at Burger King and McDonald's. And really just, you could tell he was pulling shit out his ass. Like, you ain't worked none of them things. You just trying to say something that you feel will defend your stance, which is crazy. Because at the end of the day, these are children and they deserve to eat. I grew up having school lunches. So I can't even imagine somebody saying, oh yeah, it's a wrap for that. You done. Like, you eat when you get home. And then some people don't have food when they get home. That's just the fact of the matter. And I feel like it really, really shows how, unfortunately, a lot of the stances that Republicans take are foundationally built on very selfish, narcissistic, dog eat dog, rat race thinking. Like, the whole idea from a lot, I'll never say all, mind you, I will never say all, but a lot of Republican people and ideas that they throw into the the atmosphere seem to be based in that way. And it's very much like the American dream: come to America and work your way up. And they take nothing into account for any privilege you may have been born with. DEI was also cut from this point, as far as I know, which prevents, well, it helps, apparently. It includes grants and scholarships and things like that for certain nationalities, ethnicities, sexual, what do you, orientations, because I'm thinking genders, but also genders. He also made it so that there are only two genders. That does not mean that transgenders don't exist anymore. You can identify as male or female. Them non-binary people, who, they don't exist no more. There's no such thing as non-binary. Not in the United States of America. One of my favorite artists, shout out Aniko. I saw them perform live before I moved to LA in Brooklyn, New York. Was it Brooklyn? No, it was Manhattan. I saw them at SOBs. They are non-binary. And as soon as I moved to LA, I saw them again perform out here because they are phenomenal. INIKO, if you want to check them out. Even if you probably have heard of them. I forgot the exact lyrics to the song that went super, super viral, but it was like, I'll be one of the greatest that ever done it. Sorry, it's been a while since I listened to the song, but non-binary. They gonna have to pick a lane now, which is crazy to me. It never bothered me that people could be or say they are whatever they want. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna take a weird, not weird, but a stance that would probably get some pushback, and forcing other people to call you what you want. That was a little confusing to me. And I had to practice out of respect for Aniko to call them they, because initially I called them she. They are very feminine at first glance, beautiful, very high pitched singing voice. I'm sorry, not singing voice, speaking voice, very high pitched speaking voice. She actually, I'm sorry, see, look, I just did it by accident because I'm getting confused. I'm mixing it up now. But when they sing, they sing from the chest, and it's very deep and sultry and rich. But the speaking voice is very high pitched and very feminine features, feminine face, born a female sex. So it was confusing to me at first to call Aniko them or they. I would just forget. It wouldn't roll off my tongue. So I understand why something like that can be frustrating to people to the point where they're like, nah, fuck this. I don't even want to do this. That's a man. That's a woman. I get it. But that's the thing about being progressive and learning. Like, so much has changed just throughout my lifespan. I'm a millennial. I went from being a kid where cell phones didn't even exist. I like the only cell phone I saw as a baby was like that fucking Zach Morris giant ass cell phone, or they had what did they call them? The phone cars. I mean the car phones. Were they called car phones? I don't know. They probably had a more clever name for them, but they had cars installed into, I'm sorry, phones installed into the cars, and that was basically kind of like a cell phone because you could drive around and be on the phone. Do I even know how that works? No, because only super rich people had them. And now everybody has a supercomputer in their pocket at all times. Rich, poor, whatever. This nigga needs to stop. Lyric is humping me right now. And he needs to... Okay, get down. Yeah, that's enough for that. So yeah. There's a lot going on. At this point, it has only been a week. It has been a week and 2 days of Trump's presidency, and all these changes have been made. Now, to anyone on the left or anyone liberal or anyone kind of like floating around not knowing exactly where they land, people like me, are in a panic because there's also mass deportation going on. He unleashed ICE on day one. Day one, he said, starting tomorrow. So day two is when they actually went out and started deporting and gathering people and literally shipping people back in giant planes, military planes, to their subjective countries. It's crazy that so much is happening in such a short amount of time, and he has a 4-year presidency if something doesn't change, because he has definitely repeatedly spoken about running an additional term, at least, at minimum. I think it's very obvious that he has very like megalomaniac vibes, king of the world vibes. And my personal opinion, I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks. But in my personal opinion, in the future, 30, 40 years down the line, when what's going on right now is in the history books, and I'm saying books knowing damn well they're going to be on Kindle or some shit or in Meta in their brain, but in the history books, they're going to look at the pictures that he posts of himself, his default picture on Twitter, his AI generated eagles in the background super cape on, like, and they're going to be like, how did they not know? What? They thought he was a good guy? And then they're going to look at Elon Musk, who I recently did a TikTok about because I had a conversation where I was talking about how he is so stereotypically an evil villain. Like, he looks like it. He's literally, I recently learned, I didn't know he was the richest man in the whole world. Yeah, he is. Like Doofenshmirtz vibes. He had the little alfalfa hair going on. And I was just like, oh my God, this is a movie. This is all a movie. These are characters in the movie. The script is interesting. I think in theory, it's a fire movie. But also, if it was just a movie and someone dreamed it up, they would be like, nah, this shit is unreal. Like, get this shit the fuck out of here. We're never gonna win an Oscar. Like, this is a bad movie. But with it really happening and it being some sort of biopic based on either Elon or Trump, it's gonna be phenomenal. Just because they're gonna be like, that shit really happened. And the future of today, if we even have a future, because you know Trump don't like protecting the planet. He wants to kill the smelts, which apparently like they have an economic, value. We had the LA fires, so that's the only reason I know about us. I think it's a smelt. It's a tiny fish, but apparently it's very important to the ecosystem, and he wants to get rid of them so that we can have more water in case more fires erupt. Again, a lot of confusing stuff with the fires. I don't know whose side I'm on when it comes to the LA fires, because I learned that a lot of really rich people own water. They have a monopoly on water. A lot of people think gold is like such a resource, because we equate it to monetary, like supposedly in the old days gold is what was supposed to be represented by dollars and money. It was supposed to equate, and then we just kept printing and printing, and now money essentially, I don't know what it means anymore, to be honest. And the actual valuable resources are the oil that we fight so hard for, that tends to be in other countries. It's the water. It's the things that are beneath our feet that we don't even appreciate. We don't even like think about on a regular basis. So that's crazy. Let's see what else. Do I have anything else for Trump? Oh, I mentioned Elon, but I didn't mention the Sig Heil that he did. The very blatant, obvious Sig Heil, which I didn't even know what that move was called. I just called it the Hitler handshake or some shit. You feel me? Like, I never, but now I know Sig Heil. He did that, and then certain people commenced to gaslight America. Like, you could literally hear Trump say things, see Elon do things, and they will stare you dead in the eyes and say, no, he didn't. He's autistic. Which was crazy. That the defense was autism. That's so far from anything. And the reason I say that, and again, this is my personal opinion, but he made a sound when he did it. I don't know if anybody caught that. He said, and then he extended his arm to do the salute. Then he turned around and he said, yo, for the people in the back, y'all saw this? Y'all saw what I just did? Yeah, y'all know. That's what he did. And then his team was like, nah. What you talking about? Gaslighting an entire nation is wild. And this was day one. It was literally the inauguration. And because Trump had no political background before he even ran for president, now he got Elon on his team doing political stuff. And then the name of the team is Doge, just so it could match his coin, which I invest in. I ain't even gonna hold you. Because what you can do, unfortunately, is try to capitalize off the little things that you can capitalize without getting sucked in to the evil. Because there's no way I think these mass deportations are a good idea. There's no way that I think detaining individuals who have simply been accused, when we know that racism is rampant, we know that people can just claim someone did something knowing they didn't do it. It's very unfair. And then on top of that, US citizens commit crimes way more than illegal immigrants. I read that somewhere. I wish I would have had that pulled up, but I just said that because I remembered that. So it's very similar into I had another conversation. This was a personal conversation I have, and I don't have statistics to back this, but I'm gonna stand on this too. There was a prisoner, a transgender prisoner, male to female, in a female prison. Had 3 different cellmates, raped all 3, got all 3 pregnant. Evil, terrible human being. But guess what? Cisgendered people suck too. And if we're going to compare apples to oranges and we're going to compare the number of transgender women that rape cisgendered women, women like me, born women still claiming and repping women, what's up? And then we compare it to cisgendered men, regular born men, claim men now, who rape cisgendered women like me. Guess who wins that? Guess who? With all due respect, transgenders barely exist. And that sounds crazy. Please don't clip that without listening to the rest. But the percentage of transgender U.S. citizens compared to cisgendered citizens is unarguable. Is crazy. It pales in comparison. So to compare and then take a percentage from that tiny percentage of transgender individuals and then take the tiny percentages that are sick enough to rape people and compare it to every cisgendered man in the entire country is wild. And 50 Cent is the one that posted about that. But he didn't say nothing. He was just making fun of the situation. But that's where I saw about the prisoner. So that's another... Oh, Lord. It's like, I just wanted to touch on Trump a little bit. Pause, ayo, you feel me? But so much happened. And this is week 1. 1 week. And I don't even care about politics. I was forced to care. Because the whole main argument during the election was female rights for reproductive rights. I know I heard it's a state-by-state case, but it's not going in a great direction. It sucks that you have to leave your state to another state. It sucks that states can get overpopulated with people needing certain healthcare in that, realm because they have other people from other states. Essentially, it's like they're immigrants, and immigrants are the people that he's trying to kick out. It's a whole thing. Like, I'm very sensitive to women's rights. Like I said, minorities, poverty, children, animals, like all this. I care about the environment too. Like, but drill, drill, drill is what he says. Drill, drill, drill. But enough about Trump. I'm done with that. I just wanted to let y'all know how the first week is going. just wanted to fill you in if you didn't know, but that's how it's going. Oh wait, I left one of the. I'm sorry, I gotta talk about this one too, cause this was just today. Something I saw on my timeline, and Scott Storch, very famous hip hop producer, his baby mama. I don't know why every blog is labeling her as that. I guess they're not married. They could just say his partner, cause they're still together. Her screen name is literally Miss Flojo, which Scott Storch's like alias is Flojo, whatever. But they got a video of her here in LA getting her car from valet, and she had some sort of dispute with the worker who worked at the valet, and then she commenced to call him a wetback, and he said, what else? And then she repeated that he is a wetback, which is a very derogatory term for a Mexican American or a Mexican person. And then she goes, Trump got it right. He's doing good. You're all rapists and killers and you need to get out of here. I don't know if she said all. Let me not put that on her. But she said you're rapists and killers and you need to get out. So basically, I didn't even tell you about TikTok. So TikTok shut down for like, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 hours But the funny thing is that they actually had a pop-up screen that said like, hey, we're gonna shut TikTok down, but we're hopeful that Trump is gonna fix the situation. Then when they came back, they're like, thanks, Trump. And he didn't even get inaugurated yet. Like, it was a whole thing. So anyway, when she said that, she reminded me of that. Because she just gave Trump a random shout out in the course of her racism. Like if she was TikTok personified. That's how I heard it. I was just like, what the fuck are you, TikTok? That's crazy. Like, you just randomly shouting out Trump. Like, if you racist, be racist. You know what I'm saying? But squat up, you feel me? Like, I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, I did want to touch up on that because that was wild. And then she posted a video, of course, maybe less than 2 hours later, crying, no tears, just crying spiritually. You know, like she was crying in theory. You know, she sounded like she was crying, but you saw absolutely nothing on her face. She said that this man smacked her ass, and that's why she turned into a racist. I don't know. I don't know what the logic is there. I don't know how the math works on that. But in my opinion, if he smacked your ass and he sexually assaulted you in any way, you would be repeating that. If it was me, I would be like, you smack my fucking ass. You smack my ass. You smack my ass. That's what I would keep saying so that everybody knows this man disrespected me, deplorably, sexually assaulted me, whatever. But no, that's not what she said. She said, you're a wetback and Trump is right. I'm glad he's getting rid of all y'all. How does is being sexually assaulted turn you into a rapist? Where's the correlation? Like, it don't even make sense. So your apology don't even make sense. Because even if he did sexually assault you, we're mad at you for being a racist. We're not mad at you because you got sexually assaulted. We'll be mad at him later if that's the truth. Because they got cameras. Somebody went and they did a little expose same day. Yo, niggas don't play. We got the internet. Stop lying on people. We got cameras everywhere. I got a studio apartment. I got 3 cameras on at all times, streaming. I paid the yearly subscription. I paid $130. I could see anything going on in my crib. And for no reason, it's just me and my cat. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit hype. But I'm just saying, stop lying. That's all I'm saying. The gist of that is stop fucking lying. So even her apology made absolutely no sense. But yeah, it's a hell of a week. A hell of a week. And I would figure I just lumped that in because she randomly threw Trump in there. And I feel like what Trump is doing is putting a battery in racist back. It's making this world, especially the United States, a more dangerous place. Anybody who argues that, I can't listen to you. Because that's not politics. That's not rhetoric. That's a fact. That's psychology. That's what's happening. People love when people agree with them. And they use it and they run with it for whatever narrative they have, whether that's what the intended narrative was or not. You're creating a dangerous, unsafe space. I can't even make a joke there. Because that's just, like I said, it's a fact. It is what it is. Talk about it in the comments. Don't be arguing with me because I'm not going to argue back. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you in my comments trying to argue, I'm not going to do it. I will respond to some comments, but I want to create dialogue. I want you to inform me. If you feel like you know better, please do leave comments. Now that we're on YouTube as well. But I think I'm ready to finally leave Trump. I kept saying, okay, I'm done. And then I was never done because so much fucking happened. But yeah. I think essentially, since I did mention psychology, it really all comes down to something that is used so commonly. Like I said with the Elon Musk thing, like they're just gaslighting an entire nation. Another thing is plausible deniability. That's why they said, oh, it's that he has autism. Plausible deniability is one of the most dangerous things in the world. Plausible deniability will really fuck shit up because when people do that, it's so that they can get away with whatever they want to do, as long as they have this much of a scapegoat to say, nah, you bugging. And that's what's happening right now. It's just plausible deniability. Everything they do has plausible deniability. They want to make you think that you're wrong. That's where the gaslighting comes in too. And I learned from personal experience, back to that 2023 that I had, that benefit of the doubt. And you know what? I'm not even going to say 2023. This benefit of the doubt is something that I gave my entire life. I always gave people benefit of the doubt. That's what they call it, benefit of the doubt. And when people speak about benefit of the doubt, they talk about it like it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. I'm going to tell you right now, benefit of the doubt is a terrible thing, because it all comes back to my tattoo. Trust yourself. When you're doing that benefit of the doubt thing, 99% of the time, you know what's going on, but you want to give somebody else control with that 1%, and you give them that opportunity to fuck you over. Benefit of the doubt is not all it's cracked up to be, is all I'm saying. So yeah, I distrust anybody who uses plausible deniability, like in my everyday life. As soon as I notice that somebody's halfway saying or doing something, I'm like, how you feel though? You feel me? I will either ask them to clarify right there in that moment, or disconnect. Like, either way. I've gotten really good at distancing myself and disconnecting and just not getting too attached. You know, I was when I moved to LA, because it was a new start, I always well, I don't always, but I told a couple people this. I moved to LA with golden retriever energy, which I think a lot of people who move to LA specifically do, because it's, especially if they want to be like, I didn't want to be like a Hollywood star or anything, but a lot of people who move here do. And they come with that golden retriever energy, and it's just like, all doe-eyed and just excited to be here and whatever. And I kind of had that energy, and I was just like very trusting, very naive, and very receptive, you know, to shit that I probably shouldn't have been. I was in a lot of rooms that I shouldn't have been in. No Diddy shit, nothing like that. But yeah, plausible deniability is what will get you, and benefit of the doubt is what comes after the plausible deniability. They provide the plausible deniability, and then you reply with benefit of the doubt, and then you lose. Chestnut checkers, right? I just rather throw the whole fucking board off the table. You feel me? I'm not playing with you. Like, literally, I'm not playing that game. But unfortunately, in things like politics, you don't have a choice. We're citizens. The paperwork is the paperwork. There's a few people, well, I don't know. I don't want to say a few. Probably a lot of people who said they were going to move out of the country if Trump got elected. I don't know if they still here or not, because I never said that. I don't even got a passport. I got to get my passport, though, just so I could escape just in case, though. That's actually on my 2025 resolutions list. What I did was I made monthly resolutions. So I have a few things that I want to accomplish month by month, because I feel like when you do just grand 1 year resolutions, you keep pushing it off, and then next thing you know is December, and then you're like, new resolution, and it's the same shit that you wanted to do for the past 7 years. So I don't want that happening. Luckily, like, I'm pretty consistent with my word, and I do what I say what I do. I always been that type of person for the most part. Like, even when I moved to LA, I knew I wanted to change my life, and I had this list of things I wanted to do, how I imagined my life to be when I moved to LA. And one of the first things was like volunteering, working with animals. And I've been shout out the Cat Cafe Lounge. I've been volunteering there since I moved here. It's going on 2 years. No, it's been 2 years now. Oh, almost 2 years, because I moved in February. So yeah, so I love that. Another thing on my list was to take a comedy improv class. Did that, knocked that out in a month and a half. That was fun. I'm trying to remember my professor's name, because I actually took it at LA City College. Fuck, I love him. He's so great. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but yeah. Shout out the improv comedy squad. Made some cool friends there. But yeah, I forgot my whole list. But yeah, I had things that I wanted to do, and I just fucking did them, and it's been fun. Oh yeah, all the performing shit. That was my thing too. Like I wanted to explore. I just started doing the museum thing. I'm going to the Getty this weekend. I'm excited. I saw a Grammy Museum. Shout out my boy Mark with a Q. He was on season 4 of the third pod. But yeah, nah. Just do the things. Do the things little by little. Small wins over big cat. That's one of my collections on my website, DAPHYA.com. Uh, I definitely mean the messages that I put out into the universe. But yeah. Let me see what else I got here. Oh damn. Well, on on the same topic, kind of, since we talking about like gaslighting, plausible deniability, lying by omission. Boy, that's another thing. That's plausible deniability. If you don't know, because I never told you, then I could deny it. That's another tactic. Like, I gotta pay attention, man. That's one thing I learned, is that like I wasn't paying attention to a lot of things because I genuinely was carefree, and that's why I openly can now say, yeah, I was a little naive. Like I was, because I really didn't give a fuck. Like I was really chilling, and I shouldn't have been. Sometimes you gotta pay attention, even if paying attention means that you don't do anything. Like just peep shit. You feel me? So yeah, lying by omission is right up there with plausible deniability. It's, I would say it's a branch. I feel like lying by omission is a branch of plausible deniability, but they're all like dangerous psychological attacks essentially. And ooh, all right. So the last topic I want to talk about is potting. I'm on a pod talking about other pods. I think that's illegal. I think that's taboo. I think I'm not supposed to do that. But I'm a fan. I was a big fan of the Joe Budden pod. Since Rory and Mal used to be on there with him. And I even saw them live. When I was living in Atlanta, I went to go see a live show of the third. I'm sorry, of the third. Yo, am I manifesting right now? Did I just speak that into existence? Let's go. All right, we're going to the pod live. Oh my God, me by myself doing a pod live. You know what? When I do the pod live, I'm going to get Elquan. I would bring Elquan with me to the live pods. Y'all liked Elquan, so that's just facts. But nah, where was I going? I was the Joe Budden pod. I saw the Joe Budden pod live in Atlanta, and because I was that big of a fan, paid $100 for the ticket, drove out because I was living outside Atlanta, so I drove out like 45 minutes or something to go to show. Sat down, felt like I was in a room full of friends, because when you all listen to the same pod, you get the inside jokes. It's a vibe. Y'all have similar senses of humor. Nobody's offended. It was beautiful. It was a great time, and I loved the experience, and that's why I would definitely be open to actually doing a live pod if I could. But like I said, I wouldn't want to do that alone. I wouldn't want to do the live pod alone. I would want to bring friends, absolutely. Probably past guests, definitely Elquan, you know. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm just manifesting live on the third pod, and it is what it is. But yeah, I want to talk about how, if you don't know, I'm sorry, I keep calling Joe Budden pod the third pod. That's crazy. That's my Joe Budden impersonation. I actually was a Joe Budden fan as a rapper before he had a podcast. But anyway, nigga was on Twitter telling people like, yo, meet me at this park, we're gonna play kickball. He's the fucking king of social media when it comes to hip-hop acts, but that's beyond the point. I'm not here to talk about that right now. He's been utilizing the internet in a great way for a long time, because I come from the MySpace days. Like, I've been online too, so I was peeping Joe's digital come up for a long time. But Rory and Mal got fired or whatever. Yeah, they got fired. So Rory and Mal got fired from the Joe Budden pod. They made their own podcast. So Joe Budden got new people, you know, he has his pod going on, whatever. Couple guys. He kind of rotates some. But I think the constants are Ish and Ice, but he has Imani there sometimes. He has had Melissa Ford there for a while now, as well as um oh my god, he's actually my favorite and I forgot his name. Damn. Oh, there's another really, really funny guy that I can't think of his name right now. By the way, I want to talk about my MS too. I'm not going to do that on this podcast, but turns out my memory could be due to me having MS. So I kind of have an excuse, but I'm not going to use it. But I did forget his name. And it'll come back to me and then I'll just randomly blurt it out. That's what's going to happen. But so he got a new squad is where I was going with it. And then Rory and Mal they were doing their own thing for a while. And then they started incorporating a couple people into it. But they're the main speakers on the pod. So they have Damaris, a female who is also known as Baby D. And I love her. She is one of the most fire female podcast voices that I listen to. And shout out Meryl the Kid. Him and I know him and Deezus broke up. So the Bodega Boys broke up too. So now Meryl got a podcast called Light. Something Light. Terrible, but they got a female on that pod and she's fired too, and I don't know her name either, so I'm doing a very terrible job right now. I should have did some research, but I didn't know I was going to go into detail. The point is the Rory and Mal pod, they had a couple speakers that were pretty prominent with them, but they were still the main speaker. So it was Damaris, and then there was another fellow named Julian, who aside from being on the pod did they both produced the pod as well, both him and Damaris. Apparently, Julian got fired after asking for a raise. But what he did after is kind of what I want to touch on. So he went on to something called Spaces on X. It's where they essentially copied Clubhouse and they do these audio talk sessions and people like it, I guess. So he went on Spaces and he was speaking with Joe Budden. Obviously, Rory and Mal's up because he's the man who fired them. And it's ironic that he gets fired and goes talk to Joe. But Imani was also on Spaces. As I mentioned, he's a part of the Joe Budden pod. At times, he kind of comes and goes. But anyway, he's on there and he's calling Julian lame to his face. He's like, yo, this is some sucker shit. You shouldn't be talking to Joe right now. Like, if those your mans, those your mans or whatever. Which I understand. I understand that stance and that viewpoint. But I also feel like Julian knows what's going to get clicks, what's going to get... It's like clout chasing. And I think he's cool with it. I think he knows that he's clout chasing. It's very intentional. The only thing that I don't like is that when Rory came back on a separate Spaces, which, talk about it on the podcast. Why y'all going to this third party platform to talk about stuff that the podcast listeners that are loyal to your podcast would love to know? And the only reason I even know is because I watch a lot of YouTube. Like, I am in entertainment. I am constantly like online looking for things on YouTube, inspiration, and keeping up with things that I like and current events and stuff. But not everybody is like that. Like, I understand that I'm a rarity because most people are, I don't know, hiking and stuff or whatever. You know, you feel me? Like, living life. I'm here. I'm making music and I'm watching YouTube a lot of the time with my cat, and I go to shows and I do artsy stuff outside, and that's pretty much it. Like, I like what I like and I live my life and I love it. And like I said, I'm addicted to peace, and that's where I find it. So they're talking about this separately, you know, on Spaces. And then Julian started his own podcast, which his first episode was a poem talking about how he got fired subliminally. kind of weird. I probably listened to only half of it because here's my thing. He left the podcast, or he got fired from the podcast. He spoke about it through through poetry, through poetry and rhythm and dance, whatever he wanted to do. Then he went out and blatantly had a whole conversation with op of the people that fired him. And then he comes back for episode 2 and defends himself talking to Joe by saying, I never spoke to Joe before, because, you know, Amani got on him for talking to Joe, because I wasn't allowed to, because they specifically told me do not talk to Joe Budden. That sounds crazy. That's one thing that when Rory was on his side talking on Spaces that I do believe him, because honestly I think Rory be lying sometimes. I'm sorry Rory, I love you, but I think he'd be lying sometimes. And it just doesn't sound believable that somebody would blatantly say that. I think there was a vibe. I think he definitely knew. Like, if I worked with Rory and Mal, I would know I shouldn't be talking to Joe. I feel like that's weird. Like, it's just, shit is not aligning. You feel me? And that's why I would not work for Rory and Mal, because I still listen to the Joe Pod. I do think there's a lot of misogynistic shit that goes on there. I think Melissa Ford means well, but she doesn't do a great job at standing on business, I guess. But I do appreciate her efforts. Like, I don't feel like it's intentional. I feel like it is a lot of weight to bear. I don't feel like any individual should be responsible for all individuals in a certain group. Just like when they talk about Sexy Red, you know, is making all black women look ratchet and terrible. Like, that's not her responsibility. However, I agree that I don't really like that vibe, because essentially what's pushing that to the forefront is everyone. So the fact that everyone is supporting this says more about the culture and our society than it does about Sexy Red, who's just being her authentic self. You feel me? But that's a whole nother thing. I digress a lot. Yo, shout out everybody who listens to my podcast and could keep up with my brain, because I just be talking. But yeah, so Julian used that as a defense, and I thought it was very, like, the wrong move. I don't really have another way to kind of, like, state it, but I just think he should have stood on business and said, like, yeah, I did it for clout. I went and I spoke to Joe because I knew y'all was going to listen if I talked to Joe. Like, he should have just said some shit like that, or just not addressed it at all and don't talk about it, either way. But when it comes to Julian branching off and starting his own podcast, another thing that he kind of said on Spaces was, well, not just on Spaces. He said it on Spaces when he was talking to Joe Budden, but he also said it on his own podcast, that he is doing everything on his own. And that's a flex as far as I'm concerned. I do everything on my own too. Like, ain't nobody here with me. I don't have a production team. I don't have editors. And then he always has, like, this little intro, which I'm about to add one, but money goes into this. The equipment isn't free. The subscriptions aren't free. The editing software isn't free. Like, none of this is free, and we do it ourselves. But being, like, me saying that sounds different from somebody who just came from an established podcast with a team saying that, because they're gonna look at it like a weakness. Like, yeah, you on your own, nigga. But he's claiming it like a strength. So a lot of the things that he's using to stand on is not really working, in my opinion. And even though I do find Julian entertaining and funny at times, he's a very monotone and kind of chill guy. And I think he needs energy. I think he needs something balanced. I think he needs a co-host. I think he does need someone else in order to have sustainability in his podcast. But this is coming from somebody who talks to herself for 3 seasons straight before introducing guests, and then does guests for 2 seasons, and then has a co-host, and now is back to doing dolo pods. So, and I had some solo pods in between, but when I had guests, my numbers went down. I'm just being completely 100% authentic, and I had to navigate. If you've been following my pod since the beginning, you know that we changed the format. And I say we because it sound good, but it's me. I changed the format. I changed the format. I did what the fuck I wanted to do. So season 1 was current events the way we're doing now. We're back to square one right now. You know why? Cause square one worked the best. I tested shit out, trial and error, theories, and people want to hear me talk about shit going on right now that you know about possibly or that I could put you onto. That's what I learned through trial and error. Season 2, I did that was actually intentionally like a promo season because I was releasing my debut album Phases. So I did a whole love psychology season. And then season 3, I did something where I was back to current events, but I did a short format. So I was doing only 15 to 30-minute episodes. Right now, I'm not even keeping track, but I'm already over an hour. So, oof. I do not promise this for every episode. Let me just tell you that right now, because doing it on your own doing an hour on your own is kind of crazy. I talk to myself a lot though, so I'm good. You know, I talk to Lyric a lot, so I practice even when the camera's not on. You feel me? I'm about this work. I've been working so hard. That's one of my old songs. But yeah. So season 3, I did that. I just changed up the time. Then season 4, I introduced guests. I did good with the guests for like the first few episodes, and then all of a sudden my listenership started to dwindle. And then I did guests again for season 5, where we were basically talking to ourselves. And then season 6 was with Elquan, and I started doing video on YouTube, and I actually got, you know, more listens again. So then I kind of did the math. I was like, okay, there is a middle ground here, and I feel like that's what Julian needs to find. And the only way to do that is to try different shit out. You know, I definitely learned that people don't necessarily want to hear me be nice to my acquaintances. Now, the season where I was talking to my friend Elquan, who I know I could be unfiltered with, who is unfiltered with me, y'all like that. Y'all like authenticity, y'all like realness. And that's what I noticed. I was like, damn, I know exactly why. Like, I don't even have to think about it. Because when I was talking to myself, y'all was listening and y'all was liking it. But then when I'm talking to somebody about, you know, like just asking questions, and it wasn't even an interview. I was trying to keep it still topical to current events. But when you're having a conversation with a person and you're an extremely good conversationalist as myself, and I'm just playing. I just wanted to say that. No, but when you talk to people, you ask questions about them. You talk about your personal experiences, and you know, like sometimes you just kind of veer and drift off, and you forget that the camera's on and you're supposed to be entertaining and you know whatever like that. So I knew exactly where shit went left, and the thing is, I just enjoy talking to my friends. So I'm not going to say I'm never going to have guests again. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, I'm like, Elquan will be back. You know what I'm saying? I told the Goddess MC, she was my first guest of season 4, my first guest on the pod of season 4. And she changed her name. Her rap name was Jay the Lioness at the time, but now she's the Goddess MC, and she will be back on here at some point for this season 2 already, because that's my friend. Like, y'all gonna see my friends. There are certain people who like were just on the pod because they asked me, hey, can I be on your podcast? And I was like, sure, no problem. Like, I love to talk to people, and I was doing guests, you know, in those seasons. So, you know, we came up, we chopped it up, and then I never spoke to those people again in life. And I'm just keeping it 100% real and being authentic with y'all. That doesn't work for me. I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll do that in the future, you know, where I have guests that are not, you know, necessarily that cool with me. But I feel like there has to be, I got to do some math before I let that happen again. Because if I can't be 100% me with you, you don't need to be on this platform. Because you don't want to be associated with the shit I might say. And I don't even take hard takes, but I'm just saying, like, if I feel like, okay, this is some reason, this is a perfect example. Cause I forgot how the conversation started. Oh, it was because people always think I'm mixed. I'm not mixed. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm 100% Puerto Rican, which is a mixed race, but we won't get into semantics. And somebody was like, "Are you allowed to say the N word?" Which they already heard me say a million times. Like I say, nigga, I'm from the Bronx, and like I understand that offends certain people. So I try not to use it when I'm at work, because I do have a day job. I try not to use it around people who have openly stated they don't like the word, because out of respect for the individual. But my upbringing, it just naturally slips out sometimes. I'm not going to act like that's not a part of my vocabulary. Should I change that? Probably. I know it's not the greatest word in the word. I'm never going to say ninja, though. That shit is so fucking corny. You will never hear me saying, I'm never saying ninja. For now, my niggas is my niggas, and that's it. I don't care. So the demographic that I feel the most uncomfortable using that word around are white people. Because the black people I chill with, them my niggas. They don't give a fuck. I pull up and they like, what's up, nigga? Because they know. But white people, I'm like, I don't know if I want to say it around them, because they might get a little jealous, and they might think, you feel me? Like, I don't want to be Trump. I don't want to put fuel to the fire and let them think like you could say it, cause you my skin tone. Nah, guess what? You don't got my nose, you don't got my hair, you don't have my ancestry. You not allowed. I'm sorry. I said what I said, and I said what I said, and I said what I said. But that's the kind of thing that if I have a guest who's an acquaintance and I don't feel 100% comfortable being my authentic self, and if I just like say some shit like that nigga was bugging, and then all of a sudden I feel awkward because I'm like, ooh, probably shouldn't have said that with this white lady here. I'm just saying, I don't even know if I had any white ladies on my pod. I don't even remember. My bad. But yeah, it's a whole thing. And that has been, I did the Red Man challenge. He did the, what was it? 60 second bar challenge. I forgot the name of the challenge, but Red Man had a challenge back in like 2021, I think. And I did it, and he posted me on his Instagram, and I had thousands, literally, no over exaggerating, no nothing, thousands of comments. 99.9999999% were telling me how dope I am. They were talking about my bars, my delivery, my flow, my voice. A couple was saying I was cute too. I'm not to brag enough. They were positive. And then that 0.000001, we're like, she ain't allowed to say the N-word. So this is not new to me. Like, literally out of thousands of comments, I had like 4 people that were like, yo, you can't say that. I respect that. I respect that you don't want to hear that from me. And I respect that you want to unfollow me, block me, do whatever you got to do. But there's no way you're ever going to make everyone happy. You could say you don't like hearing the word apple from me. Or like, let me not use words or vocabulary in that sense. But you could say you don't like me having a headscarf on. You could say, I'm thinking of 90 Day Fiance. I'm sorry, there was a guy on 90 Day Fiance where, not 90 Day Fiance, Blind. Love is Blind. Yeah, that was the show where they meet in person and then they see each other for the first time, and he was white, she was black. And then he said, something like, I like you with your black girl headband on. I'm like, this nigga, it's just a headband, bro. He didn't have to say black girl headband. That shit was crazy. But anyway, what if a person's like, oh, you shouldn't be wearing a headband because you're not black? Like, what? I've been doing this. So that's where I stand on that. If y'all want to flame me in the comments for that, I might delete those comments, though. I ain't gonna hold you. I tell you the truth, though. I keep it real. I might delete those. Because, like, that shit, I don't even like to entertain. Because that goes so much deeper. Like, I'm talking Taino ancestry, like, historic hereditary, like blood deep. There's levels. Like, I'm very clearly not white, so you putting me in this white book because I'm light skinned, but like, and then it's not even like I'm a random J-Lo Puerto Rican. Like, sorry J-Lo, because I know they got mad at her for saying that at one point, and she from the Bronx too. But she, oh my cat, one sec. You gotta stop doing that.
Be a good boy. It's more fun. It's more fun when you're a good boy. Mommy has so much fun when you're a good boy. I love you.
All right, so anyway, yeah. So like J-Lo, she has very European features, so that's why she got flamed for it. Do I think she had the right? Honestly, I want to say like technically yeah, but not really, because there's so much gray area in it. It's like if it doesn't come natural to you and it's not something that you were actually culturally involved in and it's just part of your vernacular, like, then I kind of feel like no. Like, whether, no matter what your skin tone is, like, you could be super super dark Flavor Flav, and that's just not your natural way of speaking, and then you just throw an N word in, and then, like, even worse if it got a hard R, then I feel like, me personally, I get the ick, and I cringe, and I don't appreciate it, and I don't feel like that's the way that J-Lo talks in her regular life. I don't. So, but this is all opinion, speculation. I don't know J-Lo. I don't know what the fuck she do. Apparently she's a terrible person. I've always loved her, but that's what they were saying on the internet recently. So that's how I feel about it, and I understand because of her European features, that's why they called her out on it. I have more blatant ethnic features, but I am also extremely light skinned, so I get it, and when I get it, I'll handle it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, but that's where I stand on that, and I don't even know how we got there. What were we talking about? Like, oh, I was talking about potting. So yeah. Yo, I get passionate about one thing and I like, we talk about Julian, but yeah, so Julian will find his footing as long as he is open to trial and error, which I think he is, because he came from an established platform and he knows the game, he knows the mechanics, he knows the behind the scenes. So I'm wishing him the best, but I personally, as I see it right now, I don't see the solo pod working, and I hope he proves me wrong. Even if he proves me wrong, like, I'll be happy for him, because it's not like I don't fuck with Julian, like, you know. But I wouldn't be listening to his pod if I didn't fuck with him. He got fired, he branched off, and I supported him the same way I supported Rory and Mal, and I supported Rory and Mal after they left Joe Budden, and I support him. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you good at what you do, you get support, period, end of the day. But this pod was not supposed to be this long, and I gave it to y'all. Ooh, I gave it up. I hope y'all like it. I hope that y'all comment. I hope that y'all put me on and enlighten me to some of the things that I was ignorant about. I hope that you do not verbally, well, it's not verbal if it's in a comment. I hope that you do not textually abuse me in any way. But if you do, I will delete it, because I don't care. I'm not going to argue with nobody. I don't go back and forth with nobody in real life. I definitely don't do it on the internet. DAPHYA.com. And we have a new merch drop today. It is a new collection. It's called Dose of Distance. So we have some new merch on the website. This shirt is no longer available. Not with the quote from my song. The plain, just the hand prayers with Forgive 'em is available on my website, DAPHYA.com. Forgive 'em is my latest single. If you want to stream my music, DAPHYA. Y'all already know, because we're on the internet and you found me, so you already know how it's spelled. But yeah, you have been listening to the third pod, and yeah, I'm very excited about this. Well, we're not doing seasons no more. I'm very excited about being back. I'm very excited about just potting again. I did miss it, and my cat's meowing in the background. But I will be back with another episode next Thursday. I love y'all, and remember, I am the voice you can trust. Onesies.